Street talk time.
This week's
What,
Street
already?
Talk. Yeah, we've got to Street Talk at last after that very long intro. But if you listen to this on YouTube, you don't know what we're talking
You can
about.
skip it. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not
It's
there.
not even there to skip.
Right, there's 6 storyline things that happened this week.
Yes, and some of them have multiple titles. So last week we called the Yasmeen and Jeff story Escort Out. But we could go back to the Yas fighting because she did fight. She's standing up and she pled not guilty in court, which I was very pleased
Hooray.
about. Or I thought we could call it Of Courts and Escorts, which are the two bits of the story this week. So go wherever you fancy.
Do what you like.
We had a bit more of the Kelly and the Killer story. I've got a million stories here, storyline titles for Dev's story. Most of them about the fact that he hasn't got any money. For example, we could call it Devstitute or
Broke Hill.
yes, it sounds like Oak Hill, doesn't it? Broke Hill. No, that's not okay. Dev needs an a la handout. I thought it was quite a nice idea. Or cap in a la hand. There's plenty. Alone in the clerk, because he's a shop clerk. Sounds like
Right.
Alone in the dark.
Next one.
The mysterious Scots, because we had Scot, the Rovers Scot, and then we had the strange Scottish lady who appeared in the Rovers today, who seems to have some prior acquaintance. No, what's the word?
Knowledge.
Past history with Carla, but Carla seems to have forgotten about. So they are both Scots in different ways. Serious case of the Ollywobbles made a brief appearance, as did Daniel this week, which really you can sum up in about 30 seconds. So no doubt we shall at the end of Street Talk. Do you want to do the Jeff stuff? Would you like me to do the Jeff stuff this week?
I'll do
Very
this.
exciting stuff.
Right, so it starts off on Monday in the cell. Yasmeen's all sad and turns over when the guard comes to get her. Back at the flat, Imran is very annoyed that Yasmeen is keeping her mouth shut, and Alya thinks that she can go and get her talking. Ryan's losing hope. He goes to the Rovers to get a confidence boost from Carla because he feels useless. Kathy and Eileen come into the cafe and Sally's there. She's got an upside down book. Her mind is clearly on other things, and Emmerdale, use this.
Emmerdale, yeah, we watched Emmerdale it was Wednesdays, wasn't it? So we wanted to see what the lockdown was like, and they had a scene with a person reading an upside book there, so
Lockdown's
just saying
affected
Corrie
us all
did
in
it 2
different
days
ways.
before, so who copied who?
So she's got her upside down book. She's clearly thinking about Jeff and Yasmeen, and there's kind of like this coldness between her and Kathy and Eileen. So Alya goes to visit Yasmeen. She opens up. She accuses her of trying to trap me about what actually happened between her and Jeff. And Alya's asking all these questions about the wedding money, the empty cupboards. How come there's no ingredients and stuff when you're such an amazing cook, Gran? What's happened to all the food? And she's trying to convince her that this is all evidence of Jeff chipping away at her and stealing her independence. And she's, you've been living like a prisoner for months. You're an intelligent, dignified person. You've been reduced to this.
There's some great scenes with Alya and Yasmeen.
This was
week.
really good, really, really powerful, and it's so frustrating too because you were right there with Alya. Like, please listen to what she's saying for once. God damn it! If nobody ever listens to Alya again, that's perfectly fine with me. But this one time, she's actually talking sense.
Yeah.
So Yasmeen continues to insist that Jeff is some kind of lost soul, and he gets my sadness. She's getting really emo about this. And then she starts talking about how she's let down every man in her life. And she starts to parrot all the things that Jeff has told her about why she is not a very good person. She says, I grate on people. I'm too bossy, too opinionated. I come across as snobby. My voice was like nails on a chalkboard to him. My voice drove him mad. He kept testing. I kept failing. And then she talks about how she ate Charlotte Bronte.
How she was served Charlotte Bronte
by
Jeff.
Alya's horrified, and Yasmeen's like, yeah, it was cruel, but I deserved it because I'd taken my eyes off the boil, and poor Charlotte paid the price. Oh, God. So then we see Tim and Jeff together, and
This is back at home, isn't it?
back at home. Jeff's not happy that Tim's going to be hearing some stuff that's going to come out at the court case if he goes to view in support, and he says, look, remember whose side you're on, basically. Back at the prison, Yasmeen tells Alya about the little red crosses, and she talks about it like it's a funny little sweet anecdote. But actually, it makes Alya cry. She says about the red crosses, and it was where he put them so that
Yeah, she made out like it was a little game. You're right, it was like an anecdote. It was like she was reminiscing over fun times she had with Jeff when he checked that she cleaned everything thoroughly, because if that red cross was there, it means that she hadn't been there. And she was even talking about he sometimes put a cross on the Hoover because the Hoover needs cleaning too.
She's like, you wouldn't think about it, but it does. And then Alya starts crying, and she says, "Why are you crying?" And Alya says, "Because you're not." That was a
great bit of dialogue.
Very good scene. Yeah, really well written. Kathy and Eileen realise that Imran's going to court, so they get a lift off him. He's got one of those fancy boots in his car that closes itself. Like magic. Yasmeen insists that Jeff needs her. He's a lost soul, complicated man. Alya says, no, he's a bully, he's a sociopath, he's an abuser. What would you say if Jeff had treated Tim like this? And I think that is the moment when the penny drops for Yasmeen and she realises...
how many times have we said over the past few months
but this is what people say. Like, if you ever feel bad about yourself and you're treating yourself badly and you're thinking bad things about yourself, you just need to think to yourself, would I do this to my best friend? And if the answer is no, you're being unfair to yourself and you need to be kinder. We treat ourselves far more badly than we treat anybody else sometimes. Unless you're Jeff. There's a lovely crane shot. I think they've got... that permanently screwed into the ceiling there at the
courthouse,
so that people can climb out of the depths underneath the court to rise up for justice.
Yeah, they've used that place lots of times, haven't they? Quite a few characters over the years have climbed those steps.
It's a very effective shot to sort of,
show how small they are.
Sort of appear out of the... like I said. So Yasmeen stands in the dock and she starts having flashbacks about all the things that Jeff had said that's horrible to her.
Yeah, it was echoey, wasn't it? And all of his lines, all of his insults.
Well, you can tell it wasn't her because it was Jeff's voice and her lips weren't moving.
Yeah.
So you can tell it was a flashback. And she misses the cue to put her plea in. And we have to wait until Wednesday to find out whether she's going to plead guilty or not guilty. So there's a long pause on Wednesday. And she says, not guilty. And Kathy, Eileen, Ryan and Alya all really pleased. Tim seems to be the only one on Jeff's side there. He's not very pleased about this and he dashes off. Suddenly, Paula appears from nowhere, not been mentioned previously. We know that Imran has worked with Paula in the past, but I kind of thought that this was his solo case for him. I don't know why they didn't mention.
He didn't need her. It's because... Is it because she's a barrister and he's a lawyer and sometimes they swap roles or something?
There was something to do with he couldn't have done... Like, when he was in court before, he needed some blah, blah, blah. Something to do with things that we don't understand because we're just idiots.
It was a nice surprise appearance.
Yeah.
But...
Nice to see Paula again. I know some people would be very happy to see Paula back in the show. It'd be nice if she was doing things that weren't just being a lawyer.
Yeah, because Sterling's got her other gig now, hasn't she, over on the BBC?
Yeah. So she says, I want an adjournment so I can speak more to Yasmeen because I've only just appeared. Literally got summoned here by the scriptwriter. I don't even know how I got here. I was somewhere else.
Say Paula Martin's name 3 times in the mirror.
I've got to get back because I left the gas on. Judge says, yes, fine, 7 days. And he says it in that creepy voice and then a girl comes out of a well. That bit was weird. Back at Sally, Jeff is cooking chilli and then he offers to take Sally and Tim out in the evening. I don't know why, if he's making delicious chilli. But Sally's in no mood for celebrating Yasmeen's suffering. And Jeff's playing the victim and he's sort of saying, oh, she fell out of love with me. Maybe I started taking her for granted. Trying to make himself sound innocent. And Sally just keeps giving him all these suspicious looks. Alya and Ryan return to the street. Alya sees Jeff, has a go at him. And tells him about Yasmeen's plea. It catches him off guard. I don't know why his representative didn't immediately let him know as soon as they got out of court that she's pleading not guilty, because this is very
it shouldn't
vital.
Really be down to...
Not really, no.
To
the opposition.
Granddaughter, no.
So he's really shocked about that.
Yeah, Alya's just
has a go
at him,
she's gloating. She's like, she's told me everything you did, everything. When it all comes out and everyone knows, you're going to be chased out of town. And Sally's like, oh, she rushes off to the pub. And then Jeff chases after her. But then in the pub, Alya and Tim have a confrontation. And Alya says to Tim, it's all going to come out in court what kind of man your dad is. And, it's really dramatic and cool. Then we get Yasmeen phoning Alya. And because she's a good girl, she uses the normal payphone.
She doesn't have a bum phone.
No, she does not. And she says, I'm starting to have second thoughts. Have I done the right thing? What's the point of doing this if they could convict me anyway? And Alya says, look on the bright side. You're upsetting Jeff here anyway. And then she gets really upset and asks Alya to tell Jeff.
Yasmeen says, I'm worried that I've upset Jeff.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, so can I change my plea? You said earlier that Yasmeen's a good girl in prison, but I reckon if she gets in charge of the prison library, she could get quite a nice racket going there, couldn't she? She could let people have 3 library books out at once instead of 2.
Yeah, like have them for as long as you like. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
So yeah, she feels guilty and she asks Alya to say to Jeff, "I'm sorry," and she obviously is not going to pass that message on. Tim is at home and he wants to know what is wrong with Sally, and Sally's like, look, what about Yasmeen? Something must have happened to get her to that point. There's a lot about your dad that we don't know, and he's playing the victim, but I don't think he is. I want Jeff out and you got to tell him to leave, which I thought was brilliant. So on Friday, Tim tries to chicken out of saying anything. And he's like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if you weren't here? Wouldn't you prefer it? And eventually he has to basically just say, look, you got to leave. You got to go. And Tim says, you'd be better off. We're all behind you and everything, but you can't stay here anymore. And he's like, well, does Sally not on my side anymore? And Tim says, look, she is on your side, but, she's got her own issues with past history of wrongful imprisonment, etc., so you should just go.
Yeah, she needs a bit of headspace, doesn't she?
Yeah,
is what he's saying.
Yeah, so he goes home to an empty house and looks at this photo of him and Yasmeen, and it's very difficult to know what's going on in his mind at this point. Is he sort of thinking, oh God, I had a nice little servant here, I can't believe I've messed this up. Maybe I shouldn't have taken it so far, or is he thinking, wow, I'm gonna have to find a replacement for this one? I don't know what he's thinking. Tim and Eileen are now in the
cab
office, and Eileen's trying to suss Tim out a little bit, and she wants to try to subtly give her opinion, but it doesn't really work. She says, have you ever considered that maybe Yasmeen is telling the truth? And he's like, no, of course not. And then he asks her, what do you think? And Eileen has to admit that she says, well, I believe her. And then she says, there's something a bit off about your dad. And the box incident. And I spoke to Yasmeen about it on the coach. And she said it was an accident, but I don't think I believe her. And it basically ends up with Tim getting a bit annoyed, and now he's been told by his wife and one of his very good friends that they think that Jeff is the one in the wrong.
Yeah, I am starting to wonder how long is he going to stay on his dad's side, because everyone's telling him now at last. I mean, quite a lot of time has passed and Eileen and Kathy have stayed quite quiet, but Tim surely got to realise, I still don't blame him for sticking with his dad. He's very loyal, and I think most people naturally would. But
I know, it's always a difficult one, isn't it? Because your family should be the one group of people that you can always trust to have your back. But there's obviously a line where they can't, where if you've done something terrible. But still, Tim doesn't really know whether he's done anything wrong.
He's starting to think that. Before, he was unwavering in his loyalty for his dad. And
now he's wondering why everyone's saying.
I can't wait to see the moment when the penny drops.
But the thing is, I really don't blame Tim. As much as I hate this character, I don't blame him at all for his confusion and sticking by his dad, because as far as he knows, his dad has gone through his entire life never having done anything wrong, and suddenly got to the age that he is and turned into an abusive monster. It makes as much sense that Jeff has suddenly done this as Yasmeen has, because he hasn't seen the signs, because he probably didn't want to. So for Alya's turning around saying, well, why would Yasmeen suddenly do this? Tim's just as what's the word? Just as much allowed to think that about his relative as Alya is. It just so happens that Alya is right. And these two really insufferable characters having an argument about their relatives is kind of funny.
Yeah. He just needs to have some hard evidence presented to him, doesn't he?
Maybe.
Some video, or maybe this woman from the past is going to come up and say, I used to know your dad, and this is what happened. But even then, unless there is hard proof...
I'm starting to think now that maybe Tim might find the videos. Because there's really no reason now for Sally or Eileen to find them. It would be more, to me, it would be more dramatic
if Tim discovers the truth for himself.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm enjoying watching every scene that Sally's in at the moment, I have to say.
Oh yeah, her little side glances. Finally using her busybody powers for good instead of evil.
Yeah, but she's kind of wrestling with who do I stay loyal to, because she and Tim have been through so much this past year after the whole bigamy incident. She doesn't want to risk, knocking over the apple cart again.
Wrong.
But she knows that there's something not right with Jeff. She doesn't. I don't think she believes him now. There has been a point where she's like, things aren't quite right there. But I think with everything that's been going on this week, with what she's heard from Alya, I think she knows that Jeff isn't telling the truth here, and now she's just finding the courage to admit it out loud and confront him with it, or put her flag in Alya's camp officially. But she can't, because she's got to stay loyal. And I wonder whether there's going to be an opportunity when the court case comes up in 7 days, aka 14 days, because we've got half as many episodes. Is Sally going to stand up in court? She
can't. She's got no evidence. You can't come into court and say, after this happened, when I saw neither of them together, I have now come to the conclusion that he had it coming the whole time. It doesn't work like that.
I suppose the only thing, and there's no reason why this would happen, I suppose, is if, for whatever reason, Sally was called to be a character witness for Jeff on the stand, and then she's like, Actually,
he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah. So I don't know. There isn't any reason for Sally to be called as a witness to anything, is there? And Jeff wouldn't want to, because Jeff knows that Sally is
thinking badly.
Yeah, he was trying to manipulate her earlier this week. Like, there was a bit where Sally had lost her phone, and I think Jeff, I don't know whether it said
he had it.
Yeah, he had it, and he was trying to make himself look good by saying, "Oh, I found your phone for you, Sally." But he tried his controlling techniques that have been effective on Yasmeen against Sally, and she wasn't having any of it. So if Jeff knows what's what, he needs to keep Sally well away from this, because she could. You know what people in Coronation Street are like for blurting out things in court.
Yeah.
He needs to keep her the heck away.
I really like this cliffhanger. I know some people didn't like it, but I thought it was brilliant.
The Monday one. Yeah. That was great.
I really don't care. I know they're juvenile and a bit predictable. They remind me of Doctor Who ones. When we first started watching Doctor Who, I did feel like there would be a cliffhanger and it would get resolved within the first 5 seconds of the next episode.
The thing is that this one had to be, because she wasn't going to, not say anything. But it was that as I was finishing on Friday's episode, I still didn't know whether it would be guilty or not guilty, because in a way, obviously, if she pleads not guilty, then it means there's going to be a trial, and narratively speaking, you want there to be a trial because you want people to come up and all the evidence to be presented and everything like that. But if she'd pled guilty, then there's still, I don't know, is there still the option that, can she change her plea later on? She was actually, no, it wasn't my fault, actually, Governor.
I don't think you can change your plea from guilty to something else.
Do you plead guilty and then you're sentenced and then she appeals? It could have gone off that way.
I don't think you can just change your mind after you've ended your plea.
I don't know. I'm
not the point of them?
I'm not a legal eagle.
We've already established that we don't know what we're talking
about. You were convinced that she was going to say not guilty, weren't you?
Because it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, but the actual way that they did it, I loved it. She opened her mouth. She did the little breathe, and then we were willing that to carry. Would it have been as effective if she'd have said not guilty and then the credits had played?
I don't
think it would have done. I think it was better the way it was, and I loved being kept on the edge of my seat for 48 hours.
It was another one of these ones where you were like 90% sure you thought what was going to happen.
Yeah, but what if?
But what if it were? What if she said?
Yeah, and good on you, Yasmeen.
Yeah, good.
But we've said that before, because exactly, now she's
regretting it. What's going to happen? I mean,
I don't know.
I think it's probably possible that you can say if you've pled not guilty, to go, okay, right, all right, I did do it during your trial, but I don't think you can do it the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to have to come from everybody else, isn't it?
The thing is, though,
because I don't know whether she will defend herself.
I still don't really understand, and maybe I'm being stupid, and I don't want anyone to think I'm being against people that are being abused, because that's not at all what I think. But I just don't understand how you can stab somebody in the neck and say you stabbed them, and the person who you stabbed said that you did it, but then say you didn't do it because they were really mean to you.
I mean, she's accused of what was
accused
it?
Of
attempted manslaughter or something, and yeah, she kind of did, but she had a really good reason.
I guess it does depend on what the charge was, and I don't remember what the charge was now.
There is the self-defence angle.
No, but what was the charge? Because if it's attempted murder, there's different types, isn't there? So if she's being charged with murder, I guess she could say, I'm not guilty of that. I'm actually guilty of manslaughter.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I think it's all. I think it all comes down to self-defence.
I really wish that we knew somebody who could tell us what is going on, or somebody from the script team to go, don't worry about that. That's not important. You know what I mean? Because I don't always want to get hung up on these silly details, but it's really confusing to me, because I've said all along, it doesn't really matter what he did, she still did what she's being accused of doing.
And there's no one who saw what happened apart from what was on the Jeff's recording, which possibly doesn't exist anymore. Depends, is it on the cloud, is it on the laptop in the recycle bin? I don't know.
But because then you're arguing. There's two things, isn't there? Are you going to argue that it was self-defence because he was coming at her with a knife? But I'm going to argue that's not why she attacked him.
Why did she do it then?
Because she was sick and tired of it. And that's a different thing again, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there might be some legal precedent for this, but I haven't researched it enough. It would certainly make sense that it's going to affect. I just keep coming around in circles. She did actually do it. And I definitely am not the sort of person who thinks that, well, you should never do anything wrong ever, even if somebody else is doing something mean to you. But I don't think that's how the law works.
I don't know. I'm very excited. It's not going down the obvious path. It could still go anywhere.
I would really like them to take a proper legal look at this and play this like it's a real case, and actually talk about what would happen if this was real, instead of making a show trial like they normally do, where they just make stuff up and have fake stuff, and this would never happen in real life. I'd really like to see something a bit more realistic.
Some proper crime drama. Shiz. Something like British Crime Story.
Yeah, that's my favourite TV show, British Crime Story.
We will hopefully not have too long to wait to find that out. I don't know whether next week we'll see any scenes of Paula talking to Yasmeen.
I don't know why Paula suddenly cropped up. Happy to see her, like I said, but I don't know what benefit.
Yeah.
Unless there's something like she can get something out of Yasmeen that perhaps Imran couldn't, because she's an older woman, and Yasmeen might open up to her a bit more.
But I mean,
when
she's opened up before, then she just regrets it.
When she first saw Imran, she couldn't have been happier to see anybody.
I've got a feeling that these women in Jeff's past are going to be making an appearance before long, and they might be the clincher.
Weak. No, I don't like that idea.
I don't need it to be, they're the whatever this whole case is resting on, but I think we might discover.
But the thing is, like I said before, Jeff would then be going on trial for coercive control and abuse, but he's not. He's not on trial. He's the victim. They would have to surely.
There isn't a way, is there, that this trial will end with Jeff being sent to prison?
This is the trouble. It's not going to happen.
Not this trial.
No, and so all they can really do
is let her off.
Prove that she was in fear of her life because he had But how does that... Oh, look, let's just move on to
I
a different
don't. I mean, the
story.
thing is, we know how soaps go, and I don't see that Yasmeen is going to end up being sent down for this.
And even
Is
if
she?
she does it won't
It
be
won't
very
be for like,
temporary,
exactly.
so
She won't.
there will be
But
a happy
how?
ending for Yasmeen here.
Absolutely.
Because it wouldn't be fair.
Just can't quite put our finger on how they're going to get there.
It wouldn't be fair to people who have been in her situation either, because she really needs to be like a figurehead to sort of show, even though, you know, this entire story is incredibly ridiculous and not exactly helpful to people in the situation, because now she stabbed him in the neck and ended up in prison, which is not really a template for how to deal with the situation.
And not really. So on to another story which may probably end with another trial for a particular resident, Gary. The Kelly and the Killer story, which was okay this week, but we had the return of Kelly's mum, Laura, and also Lenny the inept PI, which I'm always surprised when he shows up again, because I thought he was a bit of a, you know, one appearance wonder back when he first came into it 6 months or so ago. It's like, oh, it's him again. So
would you like a PI? I would. I'd get him to
I've got
walk
no one
around
that
the
needs
place.
investigating. I'm alright at the moment.
I know.
So Gary sends Lenny off to go and find Laura, because she did a...
I just think anytime you got in your life, you've got a PI who you regularly get to do jobs for you, you got to reevaluate your life, haven't you? How have you got to this stage where you've got a spy master on your payroll?
He
like
knows
your
what he's
Queen
doing.
Elizabeth I.
He knows he's a wrong un. Gary sends Lenny off to find Rick's widow, because she did a disappearing act on Kelly, didn't she, when the going got tough. So he manages...
She's not getting a Mother's Day card this year.
Too late. So he
I'll
also...
tell you what, it's not too late for Father's Day. Sad.
What also seemed to happen in this episode was a lot of older men being a little bit creepy around the teenage girl population of Weatherfield, wasn't there?
But not actually realising that they were being
not
creepy.
being like super child catcher-ish, but if
just
you
being...
for an outside observer, if you didn't know what was going on here, you'd think, why are these people trying to, you know, hang around these girls at the bus stop or in the garden? And it's Gary first, isn't it? Because he goes over to, who was it, Kelly and Summer, I can't remember who else was there, and he has a bit of a joke with them, because he's trying to get the info on like where Laura might be, or and I can't remember what else he's trying to find out.
I have to say, I'm very glad to hear you say this, because a lot of time blokes really are very blind to how creepy their behaviour and how scary they can be.
Well,
I'm glad that guys are starting to get it, because I've lived my life around guys.
He was wanting Kelly on his side, basically. So Lenny comes
it is
back
sad.
later.
I will say also, it is very sad that you can't just do this, and there is a sinister edge to it. But you know, you can only live in the reality that we've been given.
Lenny comes back, and he's done a pretty good job, because within the space of
found her.
2 scenes, he's tracked Laura down to Rochdale. And he's like, so why are you so interested in her anyway? And Gary's like, I'm just concerned about Kelly. She should be at Oak Hill, and she's taking that money away. But obviously, really, he wants Kelly out of the picture, because the more that she hangs around the street, the more questions there are likely to be asked by our other lawyer, Adam, who his creepy scene on Monday's episode is saying, do you want to come in the car with me?
Look,
Let me
also,
take you to school.
Let's remind
I've got
us,
some lovely sweets in there.
do you like humbugs, children? Let's not forget, last week it was Imran's turn to do this, when he started asking Kelly about her dad. Kelly and Summer following him down the road.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, everyone's just as guilty. Yeah, so Adam's like, oh, get into my car. I've got some tonics tea cakes in here for you.
Kelly's like,
No, thank you. But then Amy says, it's all right, he's my cousin. And then she does the whole, look, we look similar, even though they are in no way blood related. I don't know whether the scriptwriter forgot that then, or whether Amy just
maybe it's
forgot.
an in-joke.
Maybe. So once Kelly realises that Amy's okay with it and they're going to go off and leave her there, Adam says, no, you come with me, it's going to be fine. And Kelly's like, okay, fine, I'll get in the car with you, strange man. So Adam immediately starts saying, so, tell me a life story. Like, where's your dad, for example? He says, and I had to put the subtitles on for this. He said, oh, me and him were used to be muckers.
No.
Yes. He's pretending to be an old friend of Rick's. I don't really know. Kelly didn't know that her dad was a massive wrong-un, did she? I mean, she must have known. She must have done something, even if it was just from that office. Or why he would have been friends with an aspiring lawyer back in the day, I don't know.
Criminals and lawyers are BFFs, Michael.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, half their clients are crooks.
That's very true, actually. So anyway, Adam finds out from his investigations that Gary is apparently the only person that Rick seems to be in contact with. He's like,
Are you going to do the accent again?
What's wind I Scot that I've not?
That was slightly better.
So, Adam then goes and tells Imran that Rick's only in touch with Gary. So, I mean, that they're starting to go,
And then they get...
Is this...
And then they get a bunch of straws to see who's going to be the next creepy man to go and ask the teenage girl something.
Yeah, oh, it's Ken.
Hello, children. Do you want to see my kimono?
Wednesday, Gary goes to visit Laura Nealon, and he has a go at her for abandoning her daughter.
She's in
a random friend's house in Rochdale, and he says, "Look, if you don't stop taking the money that Rick's sending for Oak Hill, then I'm gonna tell Rick this, and he's not gonna be very pleased to hear about it. So take your daughter back, and let's call this an end to it."
Why he doesn't just say Rick says.
Well, I don't know. So they have
get your kid back because she's living with a vicar.
Yes. So they have a meeting between the Nealons and Gary and Billy and Paul, and they all encourage Kelly to move back in with her mum. So she's like, okay.
And where's the social worker here? This is what I don't understand.
There's a vicar. It's fine. He plays.
Yeah, the vicar's allowed. He's been ordained as a social worker as well by Jesus.
We see Sharon again. Sharon, the other loan shark, and Gary's saying, "Can you keep an eye on Imran and Adam for me?" This is just like a whole web of people. Yeah, is it?
People spying on each other and spying on the other people.
He's like, "This is for Kelly's sake because there's these two creepy guys that are asking her too many questions and following her around." And Sharon's like, well, "I don't really want to do that. Also, I don't like the idea of Kelly being back with her mum either because she's not particularly a good shining example of motherhood."
I think that Gary is being awful here because he just wants Kelly. He just wants to give her the guilt money and her to disappear.
Keep paying and
but he
stay
hasn't
out
stopped
the
to
picture.
think about the fact that if her mum is such a flighty madam that she's going to steal her child's tuition money and run away and abandon her, she's really not suitable to be a parent at all. And it's not down to Billy, the local vicar, to decide whether or not she should move back with her or not. The social worker surely should be doing this.
Yeah.
And keeping an eye on, checking up on her. But Gary just wants her to get out of his face.
Adam then goes and uses his power of creepy charm on Laura. He has a little bit of a flirt with her, having removed his wedding ring, because he wants to start asking her questions and finding out about Rick, I suppose. Sharon's watching this. Then he goes back and reports back to Imran what's going on. I don't know whether Imran at the moment is like, I don't care.
Yeah, stop telling me about it.
Imran's invested in this because he thinks it's related to Rana's death, doesn't he? It's all very tangled, and at the same time, Sharon's filling Gary in on what she's seen. So at the end of the episode, Laura drives Kelly away, though it seems they've got this new place on Inkerman Street, which is just 5 minutes down the road, apparently. And Gary kind of cheerfully waving Kelly off. But I don't think he realises that she's still going to be hanging around like a bag smell.
Yeah,
a bag smell. And which she demonstrates perfectly at the beginning of Friday's episode when she rocks up at the bus stop to go to school with Summer.
And Summer's like, what
Adam is
you
watching
doing
this.
Here? Yeah. And then he finds Laura at the cafe, the mum.
Oh yeah,
his ring off again.
Yeah, he has another flirt with her. She's down in the dumps because Kelly's falling behind at school. She's literally only just started that school.
Yeah, I know.
Is she falling behind in the past 2 weeks, or is it just
really
or is Weatherfield High saying? I don't know what they would be saying.
She's being a little.
Oak Hill
thicky.
told us she was a genius. I don't know. Adam starts chatting with her again, and that is where we're left.
So I don't Why does Adam care again?
Adam's just got beef with Gary.
Oh yeah, that's
It's all
right.
over Sarah Louise, isn't it? His wife.
It's like he's married to this woman who he still have an argument with Gary about. So in order to get back at the man that he's mad about stealing his wife away from him, who he's married to and hasn't been stolen, he takes his wedding ring off. Is there anything? Is there any thing more symbolically stupid that in the show so far than a man removing his wedding ring to pursue the man that is trying to get his wife off him, who has failed?
I know. I'll tell you what. He's got a nomination for Dirty Dog this year. Is Adam? I know he hasn't done anything properly yet, but if she did, if she said, "I'm going to tell you everything if you take me to bed," bet he would. I want Sarah to find out about this and give him a piece of her mind and a wonky finger.
What does he think's going on?
He's just desperate to find anything from anybody who knows anything about what Rick's whereabouts might be, because he doesn't.
Because he knows Rick's a wrong un, so I guess he thinks if he can track Rick down, he might be able to get some information off of him about what Gary's been up to. But I don't know why he thinks a random man who's a crimbo is going to tell Adam anything. I think you just supposed to just.
He's certainly very charming. It didn't take very long for Laura to almost drop her knickers for him.
Laura didn't need to hear a word out of his mouth. She just had to look at his bum. That's what she did when he put stuff in the car for her. She was like, ha, ha, ha.
And maybe Rick swings that way.
What?
Well, maybe if he thinks
so
that if I spoke to Rick, I'm gonna.
Well?
Yeah.
Well, he did have that poster of Tommy Orpington.
Yeah.
He obviously likes a man with a nice physique.
Well, there we go.
And don't we all?
As animatedly as we're talking about this, I'm still not finding the story in any way gripping. I'm sorry to say.
More fun to talk about it and to realise that there's just this massive web of.
Yeah, it's more fun to talk about than actually to watch.
Sharks.
They've dragged this on. This is like, get
and can
on
we
with it.
just ask the question about what the heck Fred Elliott was doing in the script this week?
That was some poor scripting, and that was Ian Kershaw, who's usually fairly reliable, I have to say.
What was the context?
So, Adam
said he gave his name as Fred Elliott.
Was it Adam or was it Gary?
I don't understand it. It was Adam, I think. It was Adam.
He'd told Laura...
He's told his name. No, that makes sense. It doesn't really matter. It just
Adam had told somebody that his name is Fred Elliott and he's one of Kelly's teachers. Although we didn't see that happening because Laura says
felt like there was a scene missing.
Yeah, totally. Because Laura says, "Oh, I spoke to Fred Elliott," and
everyone around the country.
Everyone around the country is like, "Did I just hear that?"
It didn't make any sense. It's like.
I can't remember now.
You can't just chuck a name in there. It's not an Easter egg because Fred Elliott is not. It's not like an obscure name from the 1960s. It's literally a famous character who's only in it about 20 years ago. Yeah,
I mean, Adam and Fred's paths did cross. Adam would have been like 17, 18 or so when Fred died, but to pick a random name. It was clearly there as fan service for Coronation Street fans.
But it didn't work.
But it didn't work. It just left
baffling.
everybody baffled. So that was a bit of a swing and a miss there, unfortunately. And I love a Corrie name drop as much as the next fan.
It would have been better if it had been somebody more obscure.
I think this story is already confusing enough about who knows what and who wants to find out what from what and who's keeping what secrets from whom. And then if you just throw in Fred Elliott, it's like, is he back from the dead now? Okay, I'll go along with this Coronation Street. Maybe I've missed something here. Don't know. So that was weird. But yeah, my main problem with this story is just it's dragging on too long and it feels like months. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't blame the lockdown and everything on Coronation Street, and it's not their fault, and it would have happened a lot quicker otherwise. But
blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not into it.
I'm into it because I feel like I know where it's going. And I'm going to be bitterly disappointed because it will not match up to my imagination.
Yeah. What is Gary still sending fees?
Yeah.
In the guise of
he must
Rick to
but
Laura.
Why is he sending it to Laura?
Is he doing that, or was it being?
But basically,
I think that's what happened.
Gary wants her to go back to Oak Hill, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that she's now going to go be going to school with Asher and Ardy.
It would be if
in
she
a
ever
little
does
bit
get there.
of time.
So he's sending money to Oak Hill, to Laura, or to whoever it is, in the knowledge that it's not.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah, it's being used to fund Laura's handbag collection or whatever.
Oh, nice idea.
So he's probably pretty peeved about that.
Well, he should stop sending it then.
I wonder whether Laura might start wondering, why hasn't Gary told Rick? Because
what's in it for him?
Yeah, what's in it for him to keep it secret? Is he just, a nice guy?
No.
I don't know.
I
Just pick up the pace on this on Coronation Street.
I want
Don't track it out.
Oak Hill to be like, sorry, we can't take you back because we've just took these 2 idiots in.
We've just heard from Weatherfield High that you're falling behind, Kelly, and we only take the creme de la creme. Exactly. Speaking of Oak Hill,
yes,
the many titled Dead story is coming up now.
Alya and why do I keep saying Alya? I mean Asher and Ardy still going to Oak Hill.
Nothing really happened in this week, did it? It was finishy-offy.
Is that supposed to be Asher?
Yes,
Asher
I've written
visits,
Alya.
visits Nina when she's on a break and says, a better day today than I did yesterday.
They went to school in the morning. There was the
because
funny
it
bit
was Sunday yesterday.
there was the funny bit at the beginning of the episode where Asher and Ardy are being taken by Dev to school, and Ardy's saying, "I don't need an escort," and that's just at the moment when Jeff comes out of.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's good.
She's still getting these begging texts from Corey, and I think the alarm bells are going off in my head here. I think she's gonna be stupid and want to get back with him.
Maybe.
I really
she still, for the moment, seems like she's enjoying the fact that
she's getting attention.
Begging.
She's getting attention, and she's a teenage girl, and we teach teenage girls that getting attention from boys and being attractive are the 2 most important things that could possibly happen to you when you're that age. So I do not, she's being conditioned by everybody.
She needs to set her sights on one of these, future lawyers,
this is what I
doctors
say.
Or whatever at Oak Hill,
doesn't she? Got to network.
Yeah, people with all the money.
Yep. This is what my best friend from school, she never went to university, but she only ever wanted to go there so she could get herself a husband. It's not very feminist. Carla has a bit of a chat with Dev about the finances.
Yeah, it's about the school, and she's just saying like, it's expensive, isn't it? But they've got a new telescope there, so
everybody seems to know a lot of stuff about this local school and how much cool stuff they've got.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have a clue.
They probably have got billboards up around the ring road or
Hey,
something.
have you seen our telescope? Well, we've seen you with it. How about that? So on Wednesday they come back from school. Dev's there. He's taken time off work and he's happy to hear they've had a good day. He seems to be saying how wonderful and lovely Asher is, but putting Ardy down. And I also think this is going to develop into something, because I would not be surprised if Ardy starts to feel a bit upset because he's already had his whole life turned upside down and he's got reason to blame Asher for it. It wasn't her fault, but she's the reason that he's not going to school with his friends anymore. Then he gets verbally abused by his dad just to make his sister look better. Must get a bit sick of it after a while. That
wasn't the best example of parenting we've seen.
Dev's not really doing a good job with Ardy.
No.
He's making Asher feel good about herself, but that's not the point. Anyway, he says, I'll treat you guys to speed dial for takeaway, because Asher's trying to get fancy meals out of him, and he's like, we can't really afford that. So he gives him some money to go to speed dial, and they come back, and Mary's giving him money for it, and he's like, no, I don't need your money, Mary. And she's like, look, I know you're struggling, so just take it. And he's standing there with money in his hand, and then they come back, and he wants his change, and Asher's like, actually, it costs more, so you owe Ardy money, and Ardy just takes the money out of his hand. So they've gone and spent God knows how much on all this takeaway, which I felt really resonated with me, because that's what I do.
Dale always buys far much more than we need.
Yeah, but then we eat it for several days.
We do.
So they have a nice meal, and then Asher thanks Dev for everything he's done.
That was a sweet scene.
I really like. I've said this before. I really enjoy the father-daughter scenes that we're getting with Asher and Dev.
Everything Alahan, I'm loving at the moment. Well, just the nice family meal that they had, and like happy and smiley and close together. I love it.
But underneath the happy family exterior, there is bubbling money worries, and so we see Dev quick loans. And I think that this is only going to get worse as it goes along, because Asha and Ardy going to be surrounded by rich kids with rich kids stuff, rich kids pastimes, rich kids holidays and clothes and shoes. And they're going to start realising that they're the odd ones out. They're the poor kids in the rich school. They probably, at Wethy High, they were probably, in the top. Yeah. And so they're not going to really enjoy this status, and they're going to start thinking that they need to have all the bits to keep up with the other kids.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah. I'm wondering whether Dev's going to go to old Gary for money.
I did not even think of this. I'm very proud of you for writing that down. It could be possible that Dev gets a loan from Gary, who is the local loan shark.
Yeah, I mean, Gary, is he not doing it at the moment? Is he just concentrating on the furniture side of things?
Well, you know that Sharon is doing it.
Well, he could go to Sharon for it, couldn't he?
Well, he needs to know who he can go to. Yeah. I don't think he knows that Gary's a loan shark.
No. Has she got a web page? We'll Google link to her.
SharonsQuickLoans.com.
Maybe. I don't know whether those two stories need to mix necessarily.
Well, it does seem a bit strange to have a character that needs money and a loan shark and not put the two together. But it's going to mess up our notes.
If he spends all this time finding them and he finds that there's one just living around the corner, he's going to kick himself that he wasted it.
I know. Well, Gary should put a sign in the cabin window. Need some quick cash.
That this story feels like it's going on a bit of a break for the moment, and maybe next time when we revisit it in weeks, months' time, that the Dev's going to be in much worse financial straits.
I can imagine us not hearing anything about it until we suddenly get Sharon knocking on Dev's door and Gary saying, "What the heck's going on?" And then we find out that Dev's been borrowing money from her.
Maybe. Who knows? Scot's next, which was... today's episode very much felt like, here's a load of news stories.
I know, it's like, quickly put this in.
Yeah, so Carla seems to have a mysterious stranger appearing in her life.
Well, we had like a return of an old story that we've all forgotten about, and then a new one turned up.
Yeah, the old Scot, the English Scot, the guy who's been living in the Rovers for who knows how long.
2 months, probably.
Yeah.
So this is the guy who facilitated Johnny and Jenny running away to France, basically, so that Johnny could avoid Scot, who is an old acquaintance and co-worker.
And he also seemed to be having a bit of a fling with Liz, didn't he?
And we don't know. Do we know the background there?
No, well, we learn a bit more about it. We know that Johnny couldn't wait to get out of Dodge as quick as possible when Scot showed up on the scene. So Carla and Scot are talking at the beginning of the episode, and the conversation turns to Johnny, who Scot refers to as a hard taskmaster, and Carla's like, "What, you know him?" And he's like, "Oh yeah,
I thought you were in that scene.
We are old muckers from way back."
I thought he wasn't Scottish.
No, he's not. He's not Scottish. That was just my Adam impression again. Because Adam and Rick were old, but he's saying they're old muckers, and Johnny and Scot were old muckers as well. Wow. Carla said, "That's weird.
I don't think I'm drunk enough for this."
Carla says, "That's weird. Why didn't Johnny say anything when you arrived that you used to know each other?" And I'm just thinking, I think it's odd that this hasn't come up. This guy has been staying in the pub for the best part of a decade, it's felt. and he's not emerged from the Rovers, because I've not seen him walking about on the street.
No, and he's been living there for so long, but only now has decided it's awkward to have breakfast in the breakfast room.
Yeah, and now he decides that this is the perfect time to drop the fact that he knows Johnny, and he wasn't like, he's doing it on purpose, isn't he? It's not that.
He's definitely.
He kind of wants the truth about whatever dirt he's got on Johnny. He seems to want it to come out.
I've got to tell you now.
Well, it turns out that whatever dirt it is stretches all the way back to the 1970s, where he has a few stories about the scrapes that he and Johnny got into. What did they say, that we used to just, find work together or something?
I don't know. They're very dodgy, but
they
hard-working lads.
Yeah, he's got many stories, but one thing he can tell her is that Johnny loved her mum, and Carla has to kind of awkwardly say, "Sorry, Louise, it wasn't my mum."
And the guy's like, "Oh, he obviously didn't then."
She said it was Sharon Donovan,
and he's like,
Scott's like, "Oh yeah,
Papa.
Sharon, yeah, the old bike.
village bike.
Yeah. No, he doesn't say that. He says, "Look,
Very
I'm sorry." Carla
misogynistic.
seems to be a bit annoyed that he's raking up parts of her past
Well,
that
she's
she'd
not
rather
really that
not.
interested either.
So he's like, "Yes."
How interested would you really be with this man sort of that you have to live with going, I used to know your dad when in the 70s and we used to work together.
No,
like,
I'd find that really
yeah, but
interesting. If
doing
somebody's,
what? Doing what?
I don't know. If
Well, your
somebody
dad was
came
an
and-
engineer.
if
You'd
somebody
be bored
came
in
and
5
said-
minutes.
If somebody said, "Oh, I was one of your dad's friends in the 70s," oh, we got into all
I
sorts of
think you're
scrapes together, I'd be
overestimating
like, "Oh, tell me
what
did
kind of
Dad-"
scraps your dad would have got into.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, he leaves
You're
it.
talking such rubbish.
No, I'm not.
You are. But everybody knows that when you get stuck with some old random relative or family friend and they start talking to you, 5 minutes tops is all you can really cope with. And then you're like, look, can you just write this down and email it to me or something? It's really great and fascinating.
It's left
But tell me
with
later.
Scott telling Carla that her dad was a good bloke, but we all have history.
Well, we know
So
about history.
He has definitely got something on Johnny. But we have to wait a little bit longer to find out what it is.
And then the other
the other Scot comes in. The Scottish lady comes in to the cabin, asking to borrow £10 from Kathy and Brian. She's clearly concocted some sort of story about needing money for a taxi or something when she
My car's broken down
probably needs it
and
for
I need it.
drugs or something. And Kathy knows that she's
not gonna get a lot of drugs
she's not
for
going to get this
£10.
money back. But she hands it over anyway, and Toya's there as well, saying, "Oh, you can have a £5 as well." And so this mysterious stranger thinks that all the Christmases have come at once here.
It's
So
like this lot are a bunch of idiots.
yeah, and then Brian, when the woman's gone, says, "You do know that she's scamming you, don't you?" And was it Toya that said, sometimes people are too ashamed of the truth, or they lie, but they lie because they're too ashamed of the truth. So
That was
Toya's,
a very poetic way of saying they know if they said to you, "Can I have money to get wasted?" You'd say no.
yeah, basically. So Carla tells Peter about Johnny knowing Scott. That doesn't go anywhere else. Peter thinks it's a bit odd, but the
That's
lady,
it, isn't it? About the
I
Scots,
think that's it about that Scott.
Yeah.
So the lady, Scottish lady, they didn't give her a name. I'm sure they didn't name her. I haven't written it down anyway. Maybe I should have looked in the
Call
credits.
her, what should we call her? Fanny.
Fanny
Goes to ask Sean.
She goes and says, "So is this your boss? You regular here? I know you work here. So tell me about that person behind the bar." And Sean says, "Oh yeah, Mrs. Connor. She's the queen of everything. She's wonderful."
Fan service.
Yes, it was rather, wasn't it? So Brian then comes into the pub a bit later on, sees this woman from earlier sitting there, and he has a go at her for deceiving them, for getting this money off of his Kathy and Toya. And Carla hears that there's a bit of commotion going on, and
Basically says,
she doesn't
"Look,
want the fight. She's like, if you got a
If
problem
she didn't
with
to
this,
get it off
Brian,
you here, it's outside the pubs. Take it.
take it outside.
Go away.
Take it outside. Go and
Go and bother someone else."
yeah. And the lady says, "Thanks, Carla." So
And she says,
Carla's
"Thanks.
like,
No problem, Fanny.
"How did you know my name?
How did you know I was called Fanny?"
Did you tell her my name's Sean?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe I did. I can't remember." He didn't, did he? I'm pretty sure he called her Mrs. Connor,
But
which
then
is the hangover
immediately-
from when Sean used to work for her at the factory.
After that, Kathy comes to the bar and says, "Carla, can I have another one of these?" So anybody could have called her Carla at any point.
Yeah.
But I
quite.
don't think that's the point. I think that she does know that this is Carla, and then we see her.
I don't know if I was Carla, whether I'd be that confused. I would just assume that if I'm a landlady, or she's not a landlady, if I'm running a
she's
pub,
playing,
if I'm the boss at the pub, and somebody's been sitting in that pub all afternoon, somebody might have
very
picked
well
up my
have
name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so Carla is finding suspicion maybe when normally you wouldn't, but
Well, everybody in this street are spying on each other or employing people to spy on each other
Yeah.
for them. So this woman is just taking part in the Weatherfield tradition because she starts filming Carla on her phone.
oh yeah, she did, didn't she? Yeah, exactly.
Maybe she works for that other guy.
The
PI.
Maybe. And she confronts Carla in the toilets at the end of the episode, and Carla's, "Look, if you've got beef with me, let's sort it out in the bar.
I don't want to talk to you in the toilet.
I don't want to talk to you in the toilet."
I've just been in there and it's...
And the
Fine,
closing
family.
line of the episode is a Scottish stranger saying, "Do you really want your pals to find out how I know you?"
Again, Great. Thank you for adding that colour to this podcast.
It's okay. Right, so I'm guessing that pretty soon on Monday's episode we're going to find out what this is. Carla's, whatever it is, this woman is determined that she knows Carla.
Which
and
she
Carla
doesn't know her for a good reason either.
Carla has completely forgotten about it.
She didn't come up to her and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I found you at last.
No.
You were that lovely woman who rescued me from the river."
Yeah,
or,
if she
we
had...
used to go to school together and I've been looking for you because you inspired me to go to Borneo and work with children.
Yeah, so she's got some dirt on Carla, it seems.
You've
as well.
written nice voice in any case.
I thought that she had a lovely voice.
Considering the impression that you just did of her.
I can't do it very well, but
No,
I loved it so much, I just wanted to try a little tribute. Yeah, so I don't want to really particularly theorise about that because I read incredibly minor spoilers about it. I don't know very much, but I know enough that there's no point me theorising about it.
For some reason you decided to tell me what the spoilers were.
What?
When I didn't ask you. But I thought that she was related, like a sister to Carla, because they've both got very dark hair. And all this stuff with Scot being part of Johnny's past, and the fact that they brought up her mother as well, I thought that was all very suspicious.
Yeah, I mean the Scot thing, the Scot, it's weird having two mysterious strangers in kind of the same story.
Yeah, going,
for them not to be related
from
at
your
all. But it's
past,
certainly
Carla.
possible. I don't particularly have any more theories on Scot now because really all today's episode did was confirm what we already knew, that
Can I just
there's
point
something dodgy going on in
about
Scot and Johnny's past.
As well. Carla must have been born in the 70s.
I assume so.
And he says he knew both the parents. He knew Louisa and he knew Johnny.
Yeah.
So why did he not stop to think to himself, I don't remember him having this kid. Me and your dad were so close, but I didn't pay any attention to any of his children. I didn't count them and I didn't work out how many there were.
But Johnny didn't raise Carla.
No, I know he didn't. So don't you think Scot would have noticed? Who does Scot think Carla is?
Some illegitimate Connor.
Well, he knows that now.
Yeah.
But at the time he didn't, did he?
No.
He knew that Carla was Johnny's daughter.
No, I don't think he did.
Yes, he did, because he said, and he loved your mum. And she's like, Louisa's not my mum.
He just assumed. I think he thought that Carla must have come along after this falling out that me and Johnny had or whatever. So, and I can only assume that you are Sharon's daughter. I don't think there's anything suspicious there.
You don't think it's suspicious that he's supposedly really, really close with Johnny, but he didn't work out how many kids he's got, or think it's strange that suddenly there's this girl child that he didn't know about, who would have been born at exactly the same time that he was supposedly friends with this guy?
I don't know.
Do you not think that's weird? No. I think that's very weird.
I'm not as much as you. I don't know. I've got nothing particularly more to say about this story. This is all going to come out next week, isn't it?
Alison King was born in 1973.
Yeah.
So you'd think that...
We will find out whether there's anything more to come for that next week. I assume the story's
I don't think there's a mystery.
ramp up.
I just think that the scriptwriters didn't think about the fact that if they knew each other in the 70s, unless he literally means from 1970 to 1972, you mean your dad were best of mates, and then I never heard from him again.
Well, I guess Johnny must have cut ties with him before Carla was born.
All right.
So finally we had this we didn't, not finally yet, because we have got that epic yarn of Daniel at the end of the episode. There's a tiny bit more of the Ollie Wobbles story, some nice Toya and Leanne scenes. Turns out that Nick's back at work. Leanne is back at work, which Toya thinks is a bit strange considering everything that's going on with Oliver, and Nick says, oh no, she's fine, she can handle it, she's tough, which I don't know, I don't think she can. I don't know why Nick was saying that. Toya definitely doesn't seem sure about Leanne returning quite this soon. And then when she goes round to Leanne and Nick's flat later on, she can see that Leanne's really, really struggling with this. Leanne's bringing her videos of Ollie playing with Legos or something like that, and he used to build things with his blocks, and now he's just bashing them together. He's he's not getting any better. He's a lot worse than he was like a month or so ago. And she's starting to get panicky. And even though she had previously known, it was Steve that was doing the Googling before about the symptoms, wasn't it? And now she's starting to think that I'm going to have to start doing some Googling here. I need to find out what to do. All I'm doing is keeping myself busy looking after this child to stop myself from worrying about the clear fact that he's deteriorating. So she starts voggling stuff. Toya doesn't think it's a very good idea, but she thinks probably the most important thing to do is just to support her dear sister through this trauma that she's going through. And that was about it. So I guess it carries on next week.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this one? It's just ramping up for next week, I suppose, isn't it?
She's not going to find anything good.
Do you think she's going to find...
She's going to find all the stuff that we found.
Yeah.
Which is basically to say, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but your
kid's not going to make it.
Perhaps not going to even survive this, let alone get better.
I don't know whether Toya could have maybe done a little bit more to dissuade her.
I think Toya should have probably suggested that she does some research and lets Leanne know what she finds out. Rather than saying, yes, let's just sit here and do something you've been expressly told not to do by the doctor. I wonder why the doctor would tell you that. Because normally the doctor's like, here you go, here's a great resource on this website, or there's a great support group here, you can find out more people that have got the same thing as you. Why don't you join this group and talk to them? The doctor's like, never find out anything unless I tell you.
To be honest, I think she's shown surprising restraint that she hasn't
gone
Googled so far. So I think most of us would have, straight away.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't have
that computer.
Hesitated. I would have got my phone out during the appointment.
I did think it was interesting that we're seeing a little bit more of Leanne's vulnerable side in this, because it did seem that up until this point she was completely oblivious to the fact that Ollie is in quite a serious condition here, but it turns out that she does kind of know, and she's just trying to shove those thoughts to the back of her mind and keep herself occupied.
Yeah.
Tragic stuff.
Yeah.
More, please.
Horrible.
Daniel.
Well, guess what, everybody? Daniel has found out that Bertie loves avocados. And how many avocados is the right amount for a small baby to eat? According to Daniel, it's a dozen. And the child's now decided that he doesn't like avocados. And now Daniel's got to eat guacamole for a week. I can tell you lots of recipes to make with avocado that are not guacamole, Daniel. And I'm actually quite surprised that an intelligent gentleman such as yourself has such a limited repertoire.
And somebody who used to live in work in the bistro as well. I bet
you, Robert, does some
there's
very
avocados coming out. There's in most of the menu.
So Ken and Adam realise they haven't been paying attention to Daniel, so they go and visit him and realise he's boring.
Basically, that Ken goes over and is like, I knew there's a reason why I haven't visited you at all since you came back.
It's because you're a boring turd. And
all you do is talk about your kid and avocados.
This is what normally happens to women. So it's about time it happened to a man. And people want why is it the only thing he can think of? Because it's the only thing he's got to do all day long. Of course your brain and your life revolves around this child that's trying to kill itself all the time.
I feel really bad for Daniel because he hasn't got any friends, has he?
No, he hasn't. Well, I wonder why.
I can't remember how long he's supposed to have been back from Scotland now, but it seems like it's a fair while since he returned, and we haven't seen him since then. So he's just been knocking about in his flat with his baby.
I wonder why nobody likes him. Is it because he went around telling everybody they can go and get stuff because he wants to shag the woman who looks exactly like his dead wife and he died 3 months previously to that?
Oh, I feel sorry. I've forgiven him for that.
Oh, sorry everybody. I know I'm molesting this sex victim. But she looks like my wife. How am I supposed to...
Don't be so harsh on poor Daniel.
What do you mean?
Tragedies.
I don't care.
Right, that was it. That seems like it was a fairly quick street talk this
Daniel's
week.
Daniel's an avocado pervert.
Looking back on the week, it feels like
Nothing happened.
Much happened. There was a lot of continuation of what was happening, and it seemed like things were starting to happen last week, and then maybe they did happen this week. I mean, by far, the standout scene of the week, I would say, was the stuff between Alya and Yasmeen when she was having her meeting in the prison. Both of
really
Sarah and Shelley were both fantastic, and still surprising myself to being sort of cheering on Alya during this. So that was great, but you know the Sally starting to twig. She was starting to twig last week. She's starting to twig this week a little bit more. Let's move things up next week, maybe, Corrie. As I said, I wasn't.
Okay, Michael, I'm writing it all down.
Write it down. You do it. I wasn't that excited by the Gary story. Nothing happened with Dev. The Carla mystery is intriguing, but there's not a whole lot to go on yet. And the others were
Carla's
just a bit.
storylines have been subpar for a long time.
But maybe this is a chance.
The factory
to
stuff
go back
was
to the
good.
Carla of old.
The bit where she thought she saw Hayley was really great. That was a really great episode. But if this is more Carla's struggling with mental health,
this needs to be Carla's chance
Comeback.
Carla's comeback. Exactly, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. But hopefully, I'm looking forward to seeing more Carla and Peter stuff as well, because they've been together as a couple again for like a year and a half now.
Do you
haven't they?
reckon-
We've not seen a whole lot of it.
Who?
Peter.
Oh,
I like Carla and Peter together.
yeah, right.
It's not my character of the week though. I'm gonna
What are you going to give it?
3. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
all right. It was
What are you
all
gonna
right.
give it out of?
The Yasmeen stuff was great, and everything else was just okay. I'm going to give it 3. 3.
What? What do you think this word is?
Teng lassies.
Why have you written teng?
Because that's how Ardy
No,
described
you got
the
it wrong.
lassies.
It's peng.
Peng lassies. I'm
Peng
going to
is
give
much. You don't know what peng means. You're not even. I don't even know you.
I'm going to give this 3 Peng lassies out of 5.
Teng lassies.
What are you giving it?
What's your character of the week?
Well, I'll tell you what it isn't. It's not Blimmin' Alex in the cafe, because he was a massive arse this week. He was stroppy about reusable cups, and Adam's like, he's like, have you brought a reusable cup into the cafe? And he's like, no. Why not? Shut up, just give me a cup of coffee, Alex. And then he was having a go at Laura about how much milk she was having in her tea or something in today's episode.
He's getting very strident in
He's
there,
getting
isn't he?
too big for his boots,
Oh,
is
you
Alex.
think so, do you?
Yeah, so he's not my character of the week. I've wanted to mention him before and I didn't get a chance. I'm going to give character of the week to... I'm gonna say Alya, because she gave Yasmeen the boost that she needed to plead not guilty in court.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you about Alya. She was going to be my character of the week. It's either her or Yasmeen, I think.
Or Sally. The fact that Sally's being brave to go against her husband.
No, you should always be unafraid to challenge your husband at any point in time. And if you're scared of him, then it's time to kick him to the curb. That's what I say.
What are you scoring at?
I'm going to give it 3.5 avocado perverts. I'll never forgive him for that.
Okay, well, an alright week of Corrie this week. But it really felt like a week or two halves, really.
Can I
with
just
Fridays
ask?
being the beginning of things that will hopefully intrigue me more next week, or will be developed more next week.
Why, of all the things to make out of avocado, for the character of Daniel, why did he not make avocado toast? That's the most hipstery thing. We know that it exists in Weatherfield because they had it in Roy's.
You right in
Daniel's the kind of guy who would eat avocado toast morning, night, and day.
That is it
But
for
it
our
is
Street Talk
delicious.
section this week, ladies
Let's
and
make some.
gentlemen.
And a poached egg.